This is my session, getting started with PowerShell for DBAs. My name is Harry, and Mindy's here moderating for us. So thank you, Mindy. So GroupBy code of conduct, it's a quick version. I'm sure you've seen it throughout the day. So just check it out when you get a chance. This is me. I'm a DBA. I've been DBA for a while, 12 years. Oh, wow. Yeah. Outside of that, I'm a PowerShell enthusiast, and I'm a terrible golfer, but I do love it, so I can't help myself. I am the co-leader of Redmond SQL user group. You guys should check it out. We have a YouTube channel, and we record our meetings, Redmond SQL UG and YouTube, and also redmond.pass.org is our website. So check out our next meeting. So I do a lot of SQL Server, but I actually do a lot more PowerShell for VMware, for our storage. We run NetApp, Pure Storage kind of stuff, and also for our backup application, Rubrik. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. And let's go. Okay, so if you guys can scan this QR code or go to that website really quick, using your phone, using your laptop, or your computer. I'll give you a few seconds. This will give you give me interaction with you guys, because I like doing live session. I like doing in-person presentation because I get a lot of energy from the people. So I hope this kind of could replicate that energy. So if you guys got 30 seconds, maybe you should go over here and download the app or just open up the website, and you can do this from your phone too. So let me give you a few seconds. All right. Okay, let's go. So, so the agenda for today. Let me start with the goal for today first. So the goal is just to get you going using PowerShell. Okay, this is not best practices. This is not in-depth, like how you start from 0 to 100. This is to get you from 0 to 10 to 15. Okay, just to get you running, to use PowerShell, to get you comfortable, and that PowerShell is nothing, too complicated to start with. It can get complicated. When I first started, I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm so afraid to use it because I might, touch production, take things down, delete something I shouldn't, So we're just gonna get this through, like just get you comfortable in using it, and then you can pick up the skills necessary, like the best practices through practice and through learning. All right, so the basic, what we're going to cover is the modules and the commandlets, what is an object, and the method and the property of those objects. And we're going to use the tool, or we're going to go over the tools that we're going to use in this presentation, okay? Tools to use for PowerShell, using PowerShell. And then what we're going to do is we're going to use those tools to perform some routine DBA tasks, like discover SQL instances, check failed SQL agent jobs, check SQL Server status, backup restore. We're also going to do some send mail options, right? We're just going to do things like that, so that at the end of the session, hopefully you will be able to pretty confidently use PowerShell and start, thinking about other scenario that you want to use it for. Okay. All right. Oh, let me clear this out. Oh, all right. If you guys could answer the poll. There you go. So what is your role? All right, let's see. We have 65% of you are database administrator, 5% BI, 15% others. All right. Wow, you guys are on top of this. I haven't even got there. Awesome. I'm gonna give you a couple more seconds here to see. I want to see my audience. So others, what do you guys maybe put it in chat what your role is. I'm interested in that. 2%. We got a lot of DBAs here. Great. SQL developers. Welcome, SQL developers. Oh, yeah. Okay. Lead DBA for the team. Oh, awesome, Doug. Very nice. Business analysis. Okay. Analyst. I can't read this morning. Sorry. PHB. Okay, I'm not sure what a PHB is, but I really like to know what that is. DBA. Nice. I do not want to know. Dilbert. All right, gotcha. All right, very cool. All right, let's continue. I'm going to touch on that PHP at the end, though. Now I'm intrigued. Gotcha. D-Loan DBA. Oh, JD, that's why PowerShell is awesome, because like I myself is the only DBA, and I manage about 200 SQL instances. Yeah. So, all right, let's keep going here. I wanted to get through the slides as fast as I could. All right, so how familiar are you with PowerShell? You're an expert user. You used it before, but not extensively. Okay, heard of it, never tried it. Never heard of PowerShell. Hopefully you're not at the wrong presentation, but if you do, stay. You might like it, right? I'm an expert user. All right, so if you're an expert user, this session, it is not for you. But you can help me answer questions. And there's a lot that I don't know about PowerShell. There's a lot more smart people than I am at this, right? We're here because, we benefited from their expertise, okay? One thing you need to know about PowerShell is if you think of something that you want to do with PowerShell, somebody out there already did it and already wrote a script for it. All you got to do is just find the script and adjust it to your needs. There's no need to reinvent the wheel, okay? All right. Nice. Okay, so most of you are, let's see. Use extensively, but not an expert. Tony, I like that, because I am kind of like that too. I use it a lot, but I'm not an expert at it. Like, I don't know I can't tell you the technical wording for it, like the technical name for certain things to do, but I know I use it, and I love it. It makes my life easier. So here we go. All right, good. All right, let's go. So too soon. Why do DBA need to learn PowerShell? Where's that? Okay. Because why not? Somebody said this one time. I don't remember who it is. If you have to do the same task more than once, automate it, right? I always say, like, my job, because I am the only DBA where I am, the more I can automate things, that means the more time I have. Before, I have to go and check about, at the time it was maybe 60, 70 SQL instances every day, right? And, at like 20 minutes an instance, you ran out of time during the day. So PowerShell really given me a lot of time back that I can do to learn other skills, right? All right. How many SQL instances do you guys have in your environment that you manage? So, 50%, over 50. Okay, not bad. All right. 0 to 10. There you go. Come on. All right. I'm glad that nobody says I don't know. The last time I gave the presentation was at SQL Saturday, Oregon, and there's a few people that say I don't know, but that's good, because part of this presentation is we're going to walk through like how you can discover your there's SQL instance in your environment, right? So, all right. Ooh. Okay. 10 to 20. Okay. Sounds good. So most of you have over 50. That's great. Okay. All right, let's get going. So what is PowerShell, right? PowerShell is basically it's a task-based command line shell. So this is the description from Microsoft, okay? You guys can read this. I'm not gonna read it because we want to go through and get to the demo, okay? So command line interface, object-oriented outputs. That's the most important part of this. You write a command, you execute it, it returns an object that you can manipulate, and then you can pass it to another command, okay? And by using the piping operator. So if you're familiar with Windows Server management, remote management, same kind of protocol, same ports. So these are the standard version. You guys can read it. So most important, this is what we're going to use today is version 5.1, 2016. Okay. And then other version is PS Core. Now, PS Core, these are all running the V1 to V5.1 runs on Windows servers. PS Core runs cross-platform. So there's a list out there. You can, quick Google will take you to what other operating system support Mac, support Linux, right? As of March 2020, PowerShell 7.0 comes out. There was a question before, can you run multiple version Windows PowerShell? So the answer is yes. You just have to be careful on certain commands that can only run on Windows PowerShell 7.0 and can't run on 5.1, for example. Okay, so let's continue. So PowerShell. Okay, so PowerShell is basically built for commandlets and of modules, right? So commandlets is a command to invoke an action in PowerShell. For example, get service. It will return you all the services in the machine. Stop computer. It's a very descriptive and really easy to understand. Okay. Now, commandlets is also called a function. Just like in T-SQL, you can create your own function to do a certain thing that you need. So these are pre-created commands for you that you can use, and these commandlets usually comes in the modules. So modules is a collection of commandlets or function. So example of a module is like SQL Server module, DBATool modules. And if you guys use KeePass for password management, KeePass has a PowerShell module. Okay. Okay. So what we're going to talk about today is modules for SQL Server. There is two modules. The first one is SQL Server, which is a Microsoft kind of official modules. It contains updated version of the command that's in SQL PS. So if you guys have running 2008 SQL Server, it's still using SQL PS module. This one actually come installed with it, but Microsoft is upgrading to the SQL Server module. So all the commands SQL PS are in SQL Server modules, but they're no longer supporting or updating SQL PS. So you want to use the SQL Server modules. Now there is a community tool called DBATools. This is a DBATools PowerShell module. It's awesome, and that's what we're gonna concentrate most on this session. But there is another session earlier that really get into it. I just want to get you guys started on using some of these to kind of do your basic actions with PowerShell on SQL Server. Okay. All right. So any question? If you guys have any question, put it in here. This the question page will always be on your. Sorry.
Did you see there was one? Somebody answered it, but Walker had asked if a Windows server has Windows Core on it, no GUI, is the PowerShell on it a full version of PowerShell? And somebody said,
oh yeah. So yes, that is. So it's always a full version, especially because the reason why they're able to do no GUI is because of PowerShell. Okay. The only difference is what version it is. So depends on, I think Windows Core, if I'm not mistaken, starting 2016 You can do a Windows core on it. So with 2016, it comes with 5.0. Is it 5.0? 5.0 or 5.1? Yeah. Oh, there was a slide earlier in there that says that. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, exactly. So there's the reason why Windows Core, they're able to do the non-GUI Windows Server is because they have a lot of this administration you can do through PowerShell, which is amazing. Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Mindy. I didn't see that. I was trying to get to. Okay. So let's. There's no question. Let's continue. All right. So we're going to talk about tools now. The most basic tools I use a lot too is PowerShell command line. This is a command prompt equivalent for PowerShell and standard shell Windows Server S 2019. So if you go right click on your Windows button before Windows Server 2019 or Windows 10 anniversary update something, I forgot the number, it still shows as command prompt here. But since the update and 2019 Windows Server, it's now Windows PowerShell app. Okay, this is great for you to do a quick command that you don't want to open up your full-blown Visual Studio Code or PowerShell ISE. Now, PowerShell ISE, these are the tool that comes standard with all this, the Windows Server and Windows installation. This is great. It's very familiar, easy to use. You know, we're pretty familiar with the icons. It has built-in command prompt down below, the scripting area, and also a command browser as kind of a standard. Part installation 2012 plus, Windows 10 plus. Okay, built-in PowerShell command line. Yep, simple UI. These are great if you're started. If you want no non-complicated, no setup, just get on with PowerShell. Right, this is great. But also there's not a lot of bells and whistle to it. Okay. Now this is my favorite, which is Visual Studio Code with PowerShell extension. Visual Studio Code, I don't know if anybody uses it before, but I'm sure at some point you probably use it for something else because it does T-SQL scripting. It has a SQL Server extension. This is probably one of my favorite tools. There are other tools out there that you can pay for, but these are the free ones. Okay, so I'm going to concentrate on the free ones. Powerful scripting tool, cross-platform, run Windows, Linux, Mac OS, and it's extensible. So if you see here, you can see there's a button on the left side. It's called extension. Then there's, I don't know how many, but there's a lot. I do C# coding in Visual Studio Code, do PowerShell, do SQL Server, so much more. Git integration. So if you have a Git repo that you use to check out your code, this Visual Studio Code would work with that. And there's also much more. And there could be another like 3-hour session just on introduction to Visual Studio Code, but we're not gonna do that today. All right. Is there a lot of option running SQL on Windows Core? Okay. So let me answer this one first. I'm not sure, but we tried it. What we do is we tried it. It depends on the application, I guess. So if the application requires certain things to live on the SQL Server OS and the application team requires access to the GUI, right? They're not familiar with PowerShell, for example, then but I don't see I don't know. Let me just say that I don't know. But if you get to test it, try it because it saves you. I don't know how big is Windows Server once you install. For example, we have 200 SQL VMs. That SQL VMs every VM's OS is copied 200 times, right? Yes, we have dedupe in the storage, but you could save a lot more space without having the GUI because the Windows Server core is way a fraction of the size. And then let's see here. You can have there you go. That's well, JD made a good point. That's right. There's a window admin center now that they have that could do the management. All right, so let's go to this one. PowerShell for my PC access SQL Server remotely. Does this work out of the box for the SQL Server? Yes. So couple things you need to worry about is those ports I mentioned earlier. Make sure they're open. Your PC, I assume it's in the same domain, or if it's not in the same domain, it has access to the SQL Server. Windows PowerShell, like make sure your PC allows PowerShell to go out and query other things. Usually you can work with your Windows admin to get this figured out. If not, we could do the like I'll answer more questions at the end of the session. Okay. All right. Yeah, but there are some toggling you need to do. But if you're in the same network, not even in the same domain, just kind of in your company, most of the time this is already configured. Okay. Let's keep going. Oh, look at that. It's demo time. All right. Oh, oops. Let's go to my. All right. Oh, look at that. It's already preloaded. Okay. So, like I said, the demo is going to be running PowerShell 5.1, Windows Server 2019, and SQL Server 2019. The SQL Server version, if you see earlier, I said that there is PowerShell is already installed with Windows Server 2008. Okay, but the higher version of PowerShell can go back and query those Windows 2008 or 2012, even though they're running a lower version of PowerShell. Okay, so that's not a problem. But there are some commands that might not run because they don't have it in that version of PowerShell. Okay, so let's start with how do you check your PowerShell version? Okay, there's a command called $ps version table. So this is kind of like environmental variable. It will show you. Okay, so it's 5.1 desktop edition. Okay, so that's a quick look on how you find your PowerShell version if you're not sure. Okay. One thing usually when you get, if this is your first time, so answering your question there, your first time trying to execute a command or a script, you're going to get an execution policy error because most likely your execution policy is restricted, which is the kind of the standard how they ship it. Okay, so mine's already set to remote sign, which is what we want. This is not a security feature. This is just, I think this is foolproofing. It's to prevent you from accidentally executing a script that you don't want on the target that you're not supposed to. Okay, so it is best to say if you set it to remote sign. Okay, so since we already did it, we're good. So now there are ways to use PowerShell. For example, because PowerShell is a lot like C#, so you can actually call libraries and stuff. For example, SQL Management Object, the SMO tools. You can go connect to SQL Server directly using SMO, but in order for you to connect to SQL Server, it takes like maybe 20 lines of codes, maybe 10 lines of codes. It's a lot more, and you have to learn the library names, like what to call. But thank God for other smarter people than us that spend their time and create modules for us. So if you run a command called get modules, so if you want to execute anything on Visual Studio Code, just like in SSMS, you highlight the command you want to run, but you press F8 instead of F5. If you press F5, it'll run the whole script. Okay, so it'll run like everything in this script, in this file. So you highlight and then you press F8. Okay. Well, let me introduce some option here. If you can see on the left, you can see that there's a file browser, okay, on Visual Studio Code. And then these are the extension I was telling you about. I mean, you could find a lot of extension here. So yeah, we're just gonna go through that. We don't have enough time, I don't think. All right, but it's you can open a PowerShell Command Explorer from here too. It's just still a preview. And this is like the one of the best tool you can have, best free tool you can have to use to develop PowerShell script. Okay. All right, so let's continue. So this is a command called get module to show you what modules you have installed in your machine based under your login. So if I type who am I, if you're familiar with this command, it'll tell me, oh, I am running this as HC Lab Harry. Okay. So these are the module that's available, that's already running for me. Okay. There's another command called install modules. That means find me all the modules that's installed in this machine that might not be loaded to my session. Okay. Okay. Also, I have the SQL Server modules, I have the DBATool modules, and package management module. So it's the NuGet module. All right. So what we're going to do is let's go through. So, oh, I see. So this is how you install modules, right? If you don't have a module, let's say you don't have the DBATools modules, so you need to install it. So these are the commands. So what we're going to do is we're going to copy this. I'm going to show you how to install module. Okay. So we're going to run this. You need to open up PowerShell window as administrator to install modules, so to allow all the users in the machines to have access to that module. So if you're running it as current user, then you can run a command. So well, let me just press A here. If you want to install it only for your user, what you can do is either you open a Windows PowerShell just as you, which is just Windows PowerShell, or you can type in scope current user, which is all in that script example I showed you right here. You can add scope all users or current user to install it based on who's gonna have access to that module. Okay. So it does take a little bit because it goes out to a repository called PS Gallery. So PowerShell Gallery, that's another important thing I think you should know is so basically you can search for a lot of available modules out here. So for example, I've been working a lot with our privileged access management, which is dichotic SQL Server, and they have SQL Server module. So it helps me working with it, to manage that, to manage the API connection for SQL Server. Hey, oh, look at that. So it's done now. If we run get installed module, we can see DBATools is installed. Okay. We can do the same thing with SQL Server, and it will do the same thing. So PS Galleries is not, it will, based on your standard installation, it says like you're installing from untrusted repository. So what you can do is you can set PS Gallery as a trusted repository. And the way you do that is, I think I have it in here. Do I have it? Okay. If not, let me just add this. So you do set PS repository. This is why you don't type during demo. And then you do the name, which is PS Gallery, and set as trusted. Okay. I will add this to the script and put it when I upload this demo up to my GitHub, you'll be able to see it. Okay. So let's go back and check, make sure it's complete. It says upon already available in the system. Oh, I see. Right. So when you see this, what happened is there's a lot of the names already exist. So for example, enable SQL always on, because we already have DBATools installed. Okay. What you want to do, you want to install SQL Server modules first, and then install DBATool modules. So the name is not the same, but this happens. The workaround I found is by installing DBATools first. I mean SQL Server module first, and then install DBATools. All right, so let's go to our demo over here. Let's get through. Now, once you install it, right, it's not loaded. So what you got to do before you can use it, you need to load the modules in order for the commandlet to be available. Okay, so we go import module F8. Now, if we go back to get module up here, you will see that DBATools are available. Now, that means we can use this, the commandlet that's underneath it. Okay. Now, how do you update the modules? Because just like any other tools, it gets updated, right? People write new code, people write new functions. You could do the following command: update SQL Server. Okay. And to remove it, you do remove module is to unload the module from your session. But if you want to uninstall a module, you use the uninstall module name. Okay. Now, this function right here, save module, is really great when you have a environment where it doesn't have any access to go out to the internet to pull data from PS Gallery to download modules. So what you do is you find a machine that has access to that machine, but also has access to the internet, so that you can download the module, you can save the modules to a certain location, and then you copy that file, that folder, over to the target, to the server, that's secure server, and then you run the install module. Okay, and then you just specify the path. So, all right. So, any questions so far? We're good. Oh, there's a question here. I'll add it. Pretty much. I'll add. It pretty much works. Yes. Yeah, okay, great. Yeah, that's true. A lot of this stuff usually already works. The time that I want to make sure you be careful, especially when you're at work, is Windows firewall or your network firewall, whatever, however they set those up. Make sure that they open up. So I have a dedicated management server that to use to connect to all my SQL Server. So all I have to do is open up necessary ports from that management server to all these other servers. So every time I have a new server, it automatically added to the group, and ports automatically open to my management server. So you need to work with your network admin and your Windows or VMware admin for that. Okay. All right. So now, once we have our modules loaded, how do we do? So actually, let me load the SQL Server module 2 really quick. Okay, now we can use both. All right, so now, all right, Harry, I got DBATools modules installed like you asked me to. Now, what do I do? All right, so what you do is you just run this command, get command, and you can find, oh, these are all available command DBATools. My God, did you know that you need to get DBA randomized type? Yeah, it's there. Okay, there is 513 is my last count, if I'm not mistaken. 590, so I'm a little off here. So yes, there's 590 commands. Now, this get command is one of the most helpful commands that you can find, because you could do something like I'll show you later on. Okay, so now let's get to get help. So what if you don't know what, for example, this get DBA database command does, right? So what you do is you call a command called get help, and then you pass in the command you're looking for, and there's several options there's 12 parameter you can pass. You can pass online, which is you get servers directly from MS Doc, and it will open up a browser. Okay, so let's try that, which is pretty helpful because then you don't have to trying to find like uh, so that you have another windows that you can open up and read what is get DBA database, right? Okay. So it'll take you to the DBATools website and to that command page, and you can see the syntax examples. Okay, so now we know that it returns all databases in local default SQL Server instance. Okay, all right. So now another thing that's really helpful is this uh, command called getMember. GetMember will return all the methods, property, and type of the object. Okay, so for example, if we run get service, it'll return me all Windows services that I have running on this machine. All right, you can see here. Now, all you see is 3 columns, which is status, name, and display name. But what else? There's got to be more than this, right? Because if you go open services, you see a lot more information. So how do you find out what other information that comes that get returns from get service? Because they don't show all the information. So what you do is you use that pipe operator I mentioned earlier to the get member. Okay, and then you'll be able to see like, oh look, there's alias property, just another name for service name is name. They just use alias for it. And then there's property like can pause and continue. Okay. Oh look, there's start type here. There's service type, display name, machine name. It tells you, right? And this tells you that, oh look, you can also, there's a method called refresh, start, and stop. What's a method? We're going to talk about it in a little bit. Okay. Get alias. PowerShell, because of some of these commandlets can go like pretty long. They have a basic alias that they set up that provided by Microsoft. So if you could see like, oh, remove PS session is RSN. Some of the one that I use a lot is, for example, CLS is to clear, you're familiar with command prompt, clear thing. Or also it has a command for ls. If you're familiar with Linux command line, it's actually another, just the same thing as dir, right? So there's a lot of alias that you can check out, and you also can create your own alias. So if there's certain commands you use a lot, and you want to kind of get a shorthand for it instead of typing it, then you can use that. But one of the best thing about Visual Studio Code is their IntelliSense. So if I just start typing get DBA, let's say log last backup, or oh look, it's a get DBA login. The IntelliSense is really awesome, really good. And not just that. So if you go get DBA login, for example, you can press tab to finish, and it tells you all the parameters you need to run it, right? So this is very helpful when you don't know and you don't have to remember the parameters. I guess that's kind of thing. I'm terrible. I Googled parameters, I looked up what parameters all the time, even though I used the commandlet so many times. So any questions so far? If you do, just kind of pop it in chat, or Mindy will let me know, or put it in the poll EV. Okay.
Yeah, I've been watching. I haven't been seeing any.
Awesome. Great. That means either everybody's fall asleep or they kind of get what's going on. All right. So now we get those remember those commands. They're very helpful. Okay. Gonna use it a lot. Lori, yes, I think this is being recorded. I think Mindy would be able to tell you more about that.
Yes, it's being recorded. It will be on in I think sometime in the beginning of November. It'll be available My understanding is it'll be on YouTube.
Hi there, just popping in to answer the question. It's going to be available in mid-November on our YouTube channel.
Mid-November on their YouTube channel, on the GroupBy YouTube channel.
Yeah, and the live stream that we're casting right now onto YouTube will be available right away for anyone to use. So in the meantime, if they want to view for that, for the DBA track, it will be available there as well in the meantime.
Great.
Awesome. All right. Thanks for coming, Lori. All right. So now we mentioned about method earlier. So let's start with this. So in PowerShell, we use pop variable also. It's the same as T-SQL. It's very similar the way we do it. But here is we save not only the value, but also methods that could do, or what we could do towards that object, okay? So for example, like we saw earlier, when we run get service, there's other things that comes, not only the three things that returns, right? Not only the status, name, and display name, but there are other things. So what we do is we put that into a variable, okay? So now, if you just run the variable, you have that result that we get. You have an object that has the same property and methods, okay? Now, remember what I said about alias. So GM is an alias for get member. So if you don't like typing get dash member, you can just type GM, right? So to do that, we see the same information we saw earlier with methods are things that we can do towards that object. What we want to do now is we saw this stop and start. I can give you 3 guesses, but I think you pretty much know what these things. If I run this, right, it would stop that SQL services, okay? That service that we selected. So if I run up here and rerun that get service, oh look, SQL Server is stopped. Oh, don't do this in production, by the way, just to test out this command. You will get nasty emails. Just saying. So now that we've done that, we stop, and then we can use the start method to run it again. Now
There was one question real quick.
Oh, sure.
Someone's it looks like a couple of people said, how can we install DBATools in my organization because our security team won't allow us to install this tool? Is there an offline method that we can install it by?
Yes, that's what I was talking about earlier. So let me go back really quick up here. So this save module. So what you can do is if your security team won't allow, if your security team won't allow it, my suggestion is have a conversation again with them and introduce them to DBATools, the DBATools.io website. They can run all of this. So my understanding is once, like for our organization, for example, tools that have been approved for PS Gallery that has some, they already passed some security testing. So a lot of those, usually they're pretty okay with having, with having a DBATools installed on your machine. If you do not, if you can't install it on some machine, you don't need it in all the clients. You only need it on your management server. So for example, you could only need it in your laptop, right? You can use this commandlet. Yes, exactly. There you go. Path said you don't install this on each server. You only install it on the machine that you're gonna use to call out to those SQL servers. Unless you have one SQL server that you manage and you want it only for that SQL server. Okay. Hope that answered the question. If not, we can talk some more after. Let's get through. Okay. So let's talk through that after. Okay. All right. So let me go back to my thing here. Okay. Yeah. So now we start the SQL Server services, right? So if you go back here, you go. It says SQL Server service is running. What would I get if I run this? If I run the execute on this variable now? Okay. Oh, it says running. Sorry, let me do this. If I say stop right now, if I execute that variable, it still says it's running, even though in the actual server, it stopped. This is a state of a variable. Okay, so once you execute a command and save it into a variable, until you make changes to the variable, it will stay the same. Okay, unless you need to run this again to reset the variable, or you can do something like, oh, okay, others. Oh, there you go. Thank you, Greg. That's awesome. All right. So yes. So what you need to do is you probably just need to rerun this to show you the correct state of the instance. Okay. So make sure when you're working with variable, make sure you remember that. Once you run a certain method to change the state, that variable does not get changed. Okay. So now let's check out property. So what property is like, for example, is the value or information that it provides of an object. So in this case, we try display name. So if you want to show a single property from a variable or from a service, like from a commandlet result, an object, you just got to do is just use a dot and then the property name. So it will show you the result. Okay. Now, just like SQL, what if you want certain things, certain columns that you want, certain properties that you want? PowerShell provides us with the select object command. It allows you to kind of display what properties that you want to show on your query. Okay. It's like that. All right. And then what if you want to just see everything in a nice readable information? Okay. There you go. Okay, so now we're moving on to how handle credential. Now, the reason why I decided to do this here is because we're going to use this credential to connect to our SQL Server and run commands to it. Just like anything, you need to have rights to the SQL Server to run commands. Okay, there's some commands that you need admin rights or certain rights on the OS level, and there's certain commands that you need on the DBA level. But most of these commands that I'm showing you today is on the SQL Server level. Okay. The services, for example, you need a minimum. Well, I think you need admin access to administrator, a member of administrator group in the Windows Server OS itself. Okay. So now we're gonna assign SA our username because we always use SA to connect to our SQL Server, right? Right? Don't do that. This is a demo, so I'm allowed to do it. And then now, if you can see here, I use a command called read host, and then a string says, please enter password for your username, and then add secure string. So if I run this, it will prompt me for a password. Okay. And then if I execute this password, I'm going to show you my password. No, I'm not going to show you my password. Come on. It just shows system secure string. Okay. And then now what we're gonna do is we're gonna create an object in a variable called $cred, and we're gonna call this function right here to create that credential. Okay. Okay. So now we have a credential. All right. Now we can move on to the SQL Server part of this presentation. So now I've shown you all the basic kind of what command like you need. So now, Harry, you said like, how do I find my SQL Server instance in my network, right? So even though you already knows all your SQL Server instances, but there's always a rogue person out there like, oh, I can just install SQL Server Express on my machine, or it's a full-blown SQL Server, like developer edition. It's free, right? So this is something that I do in my environment almost actually daily to discover if there's any more SQL Server, right? So what we do is we use this command. We're trying to find, so we go, this is how I approach it when I'm trying to do something new. So what would I like to do? Instance, right? I need to deal with SQL Server instances. So what I do is I get command and pass the module name, which is SQL Server or DBATools. And I go, and this is an alias for, if you hover over it, it says this is an alias for where object. So this is a where clause, okay? Just like T-SQL, where names like instance. So basically I'm pulling get command for any command that has instant in its name. And it returns 3. And I said, oh, okay, so I get instance, start SQL instance, stop SQL instance. So what we can do is, now that we know get SQL instance is a command, but how do I use it? So again, I used to get help, get SQL instance, and then I would do a dash full. A dash full will give me the full help information, but inside the command prompt window. Okay, so let's see this. So it tells me that I need server or credential, which we already have, and then server instance, confirm. Okay, now I kind of know now. You can read, you can see the example on how, oh, look, get SQL credential server instance. Okay, so these are my server instance. So in PowerShell, there's you don't have to quote the value you passing in, but best practices and just to easier reading wise, I always try to put quotes in front of my value that I'm passing into a parameter, because it's just easier to read. Like this, the reason why I don't use alias a lot when I'm creating a script is because when I come back like a few months later and trying to figure out what that script does, it's a lot harder to read. Okay, it's a lot easier to just type in this thing, but alias really helpful when you have to do commands, like when you have to do a quick command on a one-liner. That's where alias come in. What is the difference? What is the difference between single quote and double quote in PowerShell? Okay. You know, I don't know. I use double quote. But I think single quote works too. Yep, single quote works too. Like I said, it's optional. I guess this is just preference, but I know in T-SQL you use single quotes. If somebody else know what it is, double quote. Oh, there you go. Greg, there you go. See, I'm telling you, there's a lot of smart people out there, and double quote allow expansion of variables inside. I see. Thank you, Greg. That's awesome. Oh, you use it extrapolate variables, single quotes, you just literal strings. See? Yes. Thank you. Thank you, David. That was great. Yep. Those 3 are your best commandlets to know. So, all right. So I just ran that get instance. Okay. What they mean is, for example, if you want to combine things inside this string right here, you can use, I don't see anyone's chat. Mindy, do you mind helping Eric? He's having issues seeing other people's chat. So.
Oh, that's.
Because it's send it to panelists, not to attendees. Gotcha.
Oh.
I see. Okay. All right. Let's continue here.
I see. Yeah.
I think we have about 35 minutes left or something. Yep. All right. So now we have this done. Like we ran this get SQL instance server instance. What it does is it goes to the machine you give the name to and try to find whether it has a SQL Server installation. So if I put in my Win 2019 DC1, okay, which is this machine that doesn't have SQL Server, it will return a nada. It will try to connect using different things to try to find, and it will just finish and not showing anything because, oh, there you go, failed to connect because it's here. It's a local machine. Okay. Oh, thank you. Thank you. All right. So now what we're going to do is, okay, so now that you can find SQL Server instances, I need to know what the database is in there, right? And there's this command let's call get SQL database. So again, if you need to know, you run here, you got SQL database. If you need to know how to, what the this parameter takes. But in this case, what if you notice, we are piping in the result of this commandlet, which is we have seen, into get SQL database commandlet, and then we're doing a select. So now we're trying to string some things that we learn together, yeah? And let's see how that comes out. Okay, there you go. It returns me, oh, look, AdventureWorks. So this instance right here has these databases on them, okay? And again, we only select the things that we want, okay, right here, okay? And it returns a lot more information. So if you just run here, it returns, oh, look, sizes, space, recovery model, right, compat level, owner, okay, collation. And there's even more stuff that's not showing. And if you want to see that, what do you use? You use get member. Okay, it returned version, user defined, service broker. I mean, yes. So, all right. Now, we're going to do the same thing, only we're going to use the DBATools module. So we were using the SQL Server module before, yeah? So now we're going to use the DBATools modules to do the same thing, right? We're going to run same command, and then it returns, oh, a little bit more things, right? And then we're going to run this command, says find DBA instance, because that's what we want to do. We want to find SQL Server installation, and shows us that, oh, look, we found it, okay? And then we're going to run the exact same thing. We pass it to get DBA database this time instead of get SQL database up there, okay? And we're going to return the same thing, same info. Look at that. The only difference is the sorting. Did you see the result between those two, this two commandlet, right? And there are other things, I mean, of course. So now there are other information that there are other commandlet here that comes with DBATools. For example, the one I'm going to show you is this get instance property. So get instance property returns a lot of information. So for example, like mail profile, login modes, what type of login modes, like a lot of sys configuration stuff's in here, right? So what I do this usually, I try to run this command to collect every time I found a new instance out in the network, I run this and save it into a table in a SQL Server. It's really helpful to know, you know, if, for example, some of these things are set up, for example, like, oh, the XP command shell enabled kind of stuff, right? Okay, so let me check if there's any questions. Okay, there you go. All right, so now, how do I do it to find multiple servers? Well, that's easy, right? So let's show you. What you can do is you could put the file in a text file, okay? Put a list of all your VMs, in a text file. You pass it using a get content. Okay, so if we run this, it has 2 VMs on there. Okay, it has 2 MySQL Server instances. So what I did is now I assigned that to a computer variable, a $comp variable. Okay, and then you run this, and then if you see here, there's a for each command. So you're pretty familiar with for each. If not, there's things you can see. Basically, what it does is for each $computer, okay, in $comp, okay. $comp is the one we just created up here, variable. Here is it's creating another variable called $computer to pass in individual value from $comp, and then execute the find DBA instance on computer name, on that computer. So let's run this. It will run exactly what we did with the first one, only it will find both SQL Server this time. Okay. Now, you can also pass in variable directly like this, like so, using an array. Okay. This @ sign right here is basically showing that whatever coming next is an array. So you can just go comma and single quote. Okay. So it's the same thing, right? You run that, run that. Now, you could do all that all in one line. This is why PowerShell is awesome. This is why PowerShell is really the way to go. If you want to be better at managing multiple SQL Server, like a lot of SQL Server. This thing right here, if I'm like in a hurry, I just want to check this without opening up my script, opening a Visual Studio. This is what I would type into a Windows PowerShell command prompt. Okay, something like this, easy because it's one line. Okay, it's one liner. But if you come back, my guess is if you come back next week after this presentation and read this, if you're not used to reading PowerShell, you're probably gonna really hate me and trying to say like, what is this thing I'm writing and why do you hate me so much, right? So it's okay, it's common. I do that all the time in my scripts too. Sometimes I'm lazy. I uses alias and uses things that I not usually use. So and then I came back and tried to figure out what is that script doing, and I hate myself. So it's happening. It's gonna happen. So enjoy it. All right. Sorry about that. I should probably kill that. Let me kill this. Okay. So let's go to backups now. So what we're gonna do is same thing. You use get command, find backup commands that include backup. You get backup SQL history. Okay. So get SQL history backups. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to my management studio really quick, and we're going to run a backup so that it will return something. But while that's opening, I'm going to run this really quick. Now, oh, look, what's all this yellow stuff, right? I added a parameter at the end of this command, verbose. So verbose is one of those parameters that most functions or commandlet has. If it doesn't, then it will usually tell you that it doesn't support verbose function. Yes, let's do that. Okay, so let's do this while we're doing this. I'm just gonna be back up. Just start that. Okay. All right. So what verbose does is, it shows you the steps of what they're doing in the commandlet to the screen. It returns that, and it helps to find. This is probably not the best thing to do with verbose because it has a lot of information in it. But as you can see, it does a T-SQL select from the master database, right? And it just tells you, it actually to MSDB also to return you all this file name. Okay. So verbose is really awesome if you really want to know, like, oh, hey, how does this particular commandlet does its thing. Not all commandlets will return a lot of this information. They might give you a little bit of information, but it usually pretty helpful trying to figure out, like, because if you want to write your own function, right, you can go, the best part about DBATools, you can go to their website and you can find the PowerShell for this exact function for each function. So it's very good. Do we have the DBA? Oh, oops, sorry. Oh crap. Okay. Am I still sharing my screen? Yeah, there's okay. That was fat finger.
You are now.
Okay, yeah, sorry. It was I was trying to click on a tab. So if we go to any command in here, if you want to find what is the PowerShell, what you got to do is just go to the source code down here on that thing. It'll take you. Look at all this is all the PowerShell that needs to create that function. Okay. So, all right. So we finish our backup. Yes. Oh, successful backup. Everybody likes that. All right. So I'm not gonna run the verbose because it's a lot of yellow. Oh, look at that. It says you got a database. Oh, his name is missing here. Okay. But it returns you the information from the last backup. Okay. So now you can run a backup using backup SQL database. Okay. You can, in right here, you have a copy only option available. You got compression option. Okay. On. And so you can run a restore. Okay, we're not gonna run through that because we're kind of short on time. I want to be able to show you guys how to send mail and kind of create a script that you can execute nightly and automatically send you emails. Okay, so now using DBA tool modules, we'll do the same thing. We'll find the commands, and then we found out that, oh, get DBA last backup. Okay, then we go right here. All right, so now it found that, oh, only this database has a last full backup. It hasn't been no differential or no log backup, but because it's simple mode, it's fine. I want to really quick look at this format table auto size. If I run this command without that, it returns me kind of this format. But as a DBA, I like reading a table format a lot better. So this is a easier read for me. The other one is really good if you're gonna do if you're gonna put it into a variable, you want to skip this format table thing. Okay. So for example, you can do exclude system databases, for example. Yeah. Okay. All right. So this is a just example of setting a variable. Okay. Setting a variable, and then you can put the variable in at replacement as instead of. So what we can do here is if we go $machine, okay. Oh, sorry, $instance, because this is a SQL instance. And then we can do $instance. Okay. Now the good thing about Visual Studio Code is once you use create a variable, when you use a variable, just type it in, it shows up on the IntelliSense. So you could do a lot of these just by doing that. Okay, so it reduces the amount. So for example, if you have a backup file location and then you need to run it, okay, it will take your screen all the way to the right. That usually not very helpful. Okay, so we're not gonna run the verify because it's gonna take a little bit of time. Oh, sorry. See backups. Can I open? Oh, sorry about that. I don't have the folder created, I think, on the other side. Okay, so let's do this. Specified. Okay, yeah. So let's see. Copy. Oh, this is what we're gonna do, a copy database. Okay, we're gonna skip this. This is literally just backup and restore, and you do. And there, so in order for you to do backup and restore, you can do a backup command, and then you can restore it. Or because DBATools is awesome, they have a copy DBA database, which is directly copy your database by using the last backup taken. Okay, and then use ask for a credential, and then you can call the database name, and then you can do destination. Okay, so usually this is two different server to the other side, right? So there's this command that you can do to run and copy this, but let's get going here, because that way we have time a little bit more later for some of those questions. Yeah, so do you have any other question? Let me know. Let me see, there's one. Okay. Okay. All right. So now agent jobs. Oh, okay. So a lot of this stuff, like some of the biggest thing we do as DBA is we need to find a job that fails, right? Like, I mean, that's some of my biggest thing is like in the morning, like, how do we query jobs that fail, right? So instead of having to go to a SQL agent job open individually, right? Or having a paid tools like SQL Sentry or SolarWinds or things to monitor our databases. So same thing again. I use the get command. I use this all the time. It's probably 3 of the most important command you can have. Can you show demo on always on availability group information if you have any? I mean, current status, whether it's sync, async, is that? I don't have always on availability group on here, but, and guess what? All right. So, oh, look, get DBA availability group. Use registration. Yes, Yvette. Okay, so let me answer the first one first. So if you see here, there's get DBA availability group. Okay, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go get help. Okay, and then we're gonna go online because I like reading on the website better. All right, now you guys can see returns availability group objects. Okay, so return basic information. Oh, that sounds like something you're looking for. Because I don't have an availability group, I cannot run that command, but you can. And if you do, hit me up on Twitter at HarryChandraPDX and let me know how it goes, because I'm really interested. I do have an availability group in my work network, but not in my lab. Okay.
Did you see the other question about, is it possible?
Yes.
Did you see it? Okay.
Yes, I'm going to that one. I was
okay.
answering that other one. Thank you, Mindy. So now, is it possible to use register servers as input for a server list? Yes. And guess what? There's this thing. Oh, sorry. Let me go over here. It's called management. Is it? Oh, sorry. Yeah. So no, that's management. Oh, you know what? Let's just. Is it CMS? It's called Central Management Server. They have modules for that. I just forgot what it's called. Well, somebody might know here. There you go. Registered server. Yeah. There you go. Here. Go. Oh, there you go. Right here. Get DBA reg server. Right. Thank you. Thank you, guys. See, you guys are great. Why am I even here? You guys should give this presentation. All right. Oh, look at that. Okay. So same thing we could do is get DBA reg server. And see what does it. Get a list of server objects stored in local registered group. Or there you go. So yes, the answer is yes. And thank you very much, guys, for helping me answer the question. So hopefully that's answered your question. So I'm gonna keep going here. Again, logins, right? We want to work with logins. Same thing. This is for SQL Server modules. You got add login, get login, remove SQL logins. Okay. And then how do I add logins? So I'm gonna do this. Just add SQL logins, server instance. Okay, same thing. And then we want it enabled. Okay, you can create default database. Okay, and then SQL login. Is there a missing parameter here that you don't realize that you see? Right? It's okay because it's gonna ask me for the password. Right? So there you go. Milo 3 is created. And we can go over here. See, Milo's my dog, by the way. He's awesome. He has logins to all my SQL Server databases. He's great. Doesn't do anything though with the SQL Server. Kind of disappointing. So okay, so now we created a login, and then now how do we add, for example, a role to a login? So if we go, we get the SQL, use the SQL login to get the SQL Server login, okay, and then we assign that to a parameter, to a variable, and then we check it out. Look at this. So this is the get member we did earlier. Oh, look, there's a method called add to role. Add to role. Oh, okay. So all I got to do is just $login. So let's go over here really quick. Open this up. Server role. So Milo 3 has no rights here in this database. Yeah. Oops. Just need to go back to here. And then all we got to do is run that command. And then now we go back to SQL Server, Milo 3. Oh, look, sysadmin. All right. So this is really remove a lot of your necessity to go to SSMS, wait it for load, and go through. Okay. Once you have this, you can start creating your own function. For example, if there's certain things that your organization uses. For example, there is like requirement for our security for certain apps that says like, oh, for app user, we require the name starts with whatever underscore and then your username. So I created a function that literally called just add SQL logins, but in the parameter passes the login name, I add something like the whatever the string is they required underscore and then the whatever the username that we pass in as parameter. So okay, there's a question. Okay. Parameter get at DBA role, I'm not mistaken. Oh, there you go. So DBATools also have at DBA role. So yes, there is. So yes, so DBATools has that capability, which it's probably did I use it down here? No, I use DBA role. Okay, so I use a different one. Okay, so let's go to DBATools. All right, we can see here. So I think there's 3 commands for logins in SQL Server modules, and let's see how many commands. Oh my goodness. So let's see. Set DB logins. I think that's the only one they have. I don't see, maybe because my version is not the latest. Is now it's 119 if I'm not mistaken. This is 115. So yeah, they might add that command that you mentioned. But so we're just going to show you how I've been using this. So what we do is create a new DB login, right? Since we already have that, we're going to create Milo 5. I got to start deleting this. I mean, start getting too many. So, and then what we can do right away is pass it to a set DBA login at role sysadmin and then enable it. Okay. So let's do. Oh yeah, ask me for the password. Okay. So now if we go back over here. Oh, did I, which instance did I use? Oh, 2. Oh, great, smart. So it's my other SQL Server instance. Login. There you go, Milo 5. And we have sysadmin. Okay. So there are some things that I like with Microsoft, the SQL Server modules from Microsoft, but because the sheer amount of work that our community have done with DBA tool modules like Chrissy Lemaire, Rob Sewell, and a lot of other people, this makes it a lot easier to use and more appropriate to our kind of situation, right? I found the Microsoft SQL Server module sometimes tends to come up short in certain things, missing things that we want, and not discrediting them, but they are, you know, they're in charge with a lot of things. So, but yeah, all right. So let's get going here. Okay, so we can check what roles is assigned to a login by using this method. Okay. Yeah, so it's Milo 2 has sysadmin. Okay. And then all right. So let's now those are instance level permission. How do we do database level permissions? Okay. So for example, we create a new DB user. So these they don't have this functionality in the SQL Server module. Okay. So if we run this, it'll show you that we have created a user. Okay. And then it tells us that that user, Milo 2, which we already do, we already have. Now there is that add to role again, and then we can add them to DB data reader, for example. So let's change it to Milo 5, the one we just created.
Harry, just a quick
yes.
reminder that you have 7 minutes left on your session before the keynote starts.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yeah, so let me run this through really quick. Okay, so we're gonna go run this again. Okay, and then we're gonna, so this time Milo 5 user mapping, there's nothing here. Okay. Oh, it doesn't have the database. Okay, so what did I create? Milo 3. Okay, so let's go over here. Let's go Milo 3. So we're gonna do this F8. All right, and then we're gonna add data role to the AdventureWorks database. Okay. Oh, haha, sorry. I need to create it first. Milo 3 in the AdventureWorks database. So you create the user, create the login. Okay, I mean the database user, and then you run this part right here again, and then you add the DB reader. Am I not using the correct one? Oh. Oh, this is why you shouldn't type on demo, right? So there you go. So now if I go to Milo 3, I should have rights to the AdventureWorks with database reader. So a lot of this information you can pull directly from here to know. If you need to know what you need to pass in here, it's usually the same as the one you see on SSMS. So that's really good. Okay, I'm gonna keep going. So this is how you send mail from PowerShell. Okay, you can see right here. You set your SMTP server, mail credential destination. Okay, I don't have time to do this right now, but all of this are in my scripts, my demo, and actually I have a send mail demo. This one is actually to find your what it does is it find your SQL, go through your SQL agent job nightly. So every morning you can execute this job to find a failed job. And then what it's going to do is if you find a failed job, it will send you the name of the failed jobs with the run date with the error message. Okay. And if not, it will just send you, says no failed job today. Okay. And then what you do is you can do, this is because we're SQL Server DBA, we can use SQL agent jobs to schedule this stuff. So you can do that simply by creating a new job step in here, create a new job step, and change this to PowerShell. And you can copy and paste that file here, or you can do the operating command exec, and then you just execute the PowerShell and then the script name. Okay, there. Can't type. All right. So, but I like running PowerShell and directly put the PowerShell script in here. Or this is just my preference, but if you use the execute the script using the command shell, that you can just edit the PowerShell in the Visual Studio Code, save it, and it automatically update your PowerShell job. Okay, so you don't have to do two things. So I have like 1 minute or 3 minutes here. So if you guys have questions, yes, Balaji, how about if you my email is harry@harrychandra.com. Yes. This is okay.
Yeah, they're asking for that first slide, I guess, or if you had a slide that had your GitHub location and your contact info.
Yes. Okay. So here we go. So harrychandra.com. My GitHub is listed on my website. For some reason I don't have it listed on here. Let's see. I can get to my GitHub. Okay. Yes, you can. Why don't you contact me through harrychandra.pdx? I will tweet out my GitHub and my presentation. All this stuff will be uploaded up there after this session, so that we can answer some more questions if they have any more question. So let's go back to here. All right. Do you guys have any more questions? We have literally like 2 minutes before Vicky is next, I think. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I don't see any more.
Okay, cool. Well, finishing up, recommended books. I'm sure some of you already know this, but these are the 2 books that really helped me a lot when I first starting. Okay. This will the book on the left, the Windows PowerShell, give you a lot of the basic, the best practices, that kind of stuff on how to use PowerShell. And then the DBA tool, Months and Lunches, will help you how to use DBATools. Okay.
Thank you so much, Harry. That was such an awesome session.
Oh, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Sorry, guys, I didn't have enough time. I've been trying to like kind of cramp up as much as I could. But yeah, hey, hit me up on Twitter. I'm always welcome. Hit me up on my email, harry@harrychandra.com. Yeah, just let me know. And if you guys have any question or talk about what you're doing with your session, or what you're doing with your PowerShell script, I'm always happy to talk about that. Yeah, thank you. And there's some link here.
Thank you so much again.
Thank you guys. Thank you, Mindy. Appreciate it. And thank you for asking questions, guys. Thank you for staying. Appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye.